Hey, Meghan Markle's Washington, D.C. trip backfires as Serena and Venus Williams snub the Duchess on her new podcast. And this no-filter close-up of her face goes viral. Now, this was from the reel that she released. So let's have a little look at this Washington, D.C. reel because, Meghan Markle is now the influencer. So she's clearly cut out the fact that the audience was heckling her and laughing at her during the speech, just making it very clear that she flies on private jets. Nice little hug, and then back off again with my DS bag standing for the Duchess of Sussex in the cockpit in my private jet back home to my children who never see me. As the Royal News Network posted on X, what do you want to bet the DS on the bag is for Duchess of Sussex? She's psychotically obsessed with the title. Even a freaking queen only has her name, Maxima, on her Christian Dior book bag, while Meghan needs to plaster Duchess of Sussex on anything she possibly can. It's weird. What's also weird is the fact that Meghan Markle doesn't have an original thought. Revealing an Arc has done some very good work. Posted in 2021, Meghan sat right next to Melody Hobson as she spoke about financial literacy and empowering women through understanding money. 4 years later, Meghan plagiarized the words. Grandiosity made her lose the plot. Here's the video. Want more hard-hitting Harry and Meghan coverage like this with the double standards called out? Hit subscribe right now and turn on the notification. Meghan also doesn't seem to remember when she was apparently pregnant, prompting Meghan's mole to write, Meghan Markle clearly was never pregnant with either child or she would know timelines. Reminder, Meghan and Harry left the royal family in November 2019, claiming they were exhausted and lived in an oligarch's mansion for 6 weeks on Vancouver Island. Then called a complete stranger, Tyler Perry, to send his private jet for their freedom flight to California. Lockdown happened March the 15th, 2020. Lily was born June the 4th, 2021. But listen to Meghan completely get those dates wrong. Glorious Lady Colin Campbell with me now. Lady C, where to begin? You got the cushion.
Oh, Dan.
Do you feel like your point has been proven somewhat?
Oh, Dan, I'm bursting with anticipation at all of those confessions. And look, Meghan is going to give birth to a pig that flies, and the pig is wearing lipstick. Look at this. Oh, look at this. The pig is wearing lipstick. Oh.
But Lady C, remember, you can't put lipstick on a pig, no matter how hard she may try.
True. I mean, I don't know what you thought when you saw that interview. I thought, dear Lord, please spare me. It's actually torture to listen to that woman now, because every other word out of her mouth is a lie. None of it really makes sense. And, like many pathological liars and perpetual fictionalists, she takes incidents and she just melds them together to come up with a narrative that she wants to propound, but it doesn't make any sense. None of it adds up. I mean, one of the main rules of psychology is what enrages people is other people whose tales or whose identities don't add up. If there's something so dissonant and discordant, you immediately rebel atavistically on a totally animal level. You rebel against what's being told to you. And I mean, she doesn't ever answer a question. She like most very authoritarian personalities, she uses every question or every, shall we say, opportunity to expand. She uses it to push forth her narrative, but none of it actually makes sense. I mean, she wasn't pregnant with Lily when Archie was a little baby in California. I mean, in fact, Archie was a year old. Look at Meghan at the Albert Hall. How many weeks pregnant was she supposed to be? Was it about 8 weeks? And she looks as if she's at least 5 months pregnant.
Mm.
You know, she doesn't even bother to get the timeline straight or any actual line straight. It's all a total muddle. Oh gosh, here we go again. Oh my dear, look at Archie swing from side to side, proving that he wasn't only an athlete in terms of being able to deep dive like Tom Daley, but he was an acrobat like one of the Wallenda brothers, and sailing across from side to side as if he were crossing the Niagara Falls on a high wire. Swoosh to the left, swoosh to the right. Oh, sweet little boy, though. Sweet little boy. The children, I am told, are actually very sweet children. And none of this is a reflection. Oh, I noticed, Dan, you've put up the photograph of her the night that she, following the ideations she had.
Yes, just apparently she was just sobbing at that moment, wasn't she, Lady C?
Well, yes. Only thing is the eye makeup didn't run. And even though the lights were dimmed, the cameras were on her the whole time. And there's no evidence whatsoever of crying. And also, the timeline makes no sense because earlier that day, she was at Mayhew. Do you remember when she was at Mayhew? She says she was curled up in a ball and Harry came and found her on the floor in a ball. She's often on the floor. Well, maybe she started on the floor. Maybe the floor worked for her, but we're not going to go there. The fact of the matter is she can't have been curled up in a ball because Harry was doing something else somewhere else at KP. Meeting for his mental health charity. Remember, the one that she and he had no access to, even though she had these terrible ideations. And she was at Mayhew, and you will remember, I'm sure, the clip of her at Mayhew when she gets down in her 4 or 5-inch heels on her knees, legs tightly closed together, and pops up back, and there is an explosion. But it did not sound like a fart, to be blunt. It sounded like something that was re-inflating. Maybe it was her ego.
Can you believe that more than half of you are watching this video but not subscribed? So please do me a huge favour. Click the subscribe button now. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all of our brand new Outspoken videos. Maybe it was, or maybe it was something else. Lady C, there's been a couple of other interesting, there's the appearance, a couple of other observations, interesting ones from her time in Washington, D.C. Think Beautiful made the point that Alison Chantel, who was the interviewer, you can see her there walking off stage, wrapped this interview way too abruptly for Meghan. She just didn't want to get off stage, even though the audience were actually laughing and guffawing and heckling at her, which was quite something. Genevieve's pointed out that Meghan has a different race for whichever agenda is being pushed, given that these two pictures were taken less than a week apart. And Royal Thoughts posted, Archie and Lily of Montecito are wondering how many weeks Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been away and when they will be home. Perhaps they can avoid intergenerational trauma by watching footage of the attention whore and the dancer's PR stunts on emails sent by Meghan. Anything you want to pick up on there, Lady C?
Well, I understand she claims that before going to New York, she flew from Paris back to California to spend a night with the children. But I would actually have thought that the children would be far better off with her being as absent as possible. Because I know from my own little sister that one of the things that she was very relieved about was that she had no relationship whatsoever with our mother. And to those viewers who don't know, I was encouraged by one of the world's leading psychoanalysts to write a book called Daughter of Narcissus about my mother and her narcissism. And I have to tell you, there's a lot to be said for a negligent narcissistic parent over an involved narcissistic parent, because an involved narcissistic parent will ultimately do far more damage, whether you are the golden child, which I was when I was growing up, or you are the scapegoats, which my brother and my other sister were. And we all have spent our whole lives having to overcome the tremendous egg beater in your brain sort of nonsense that comes up with being the child of a narcissist, because it's a pretty gloomy situation. And I actually think it's wonderful that Meghan and Harry have staff, that the staff take care of the children, and that she, by all accounts, has even a lot more limited involvement with the children than Harry does. Because whatever his failings, he is a far more naturally empathetic person with some impulses of decency, while her impulses seem to be nothing but egotistical, opportunistic, materialistic, and I mean, she is a walking, talking automaton for attention and money, insofar as I can see.
Yes, and it is very interesting, of course, that she was so determined to try and prove on the stage yet again that she is a hands-on mum. But as you say, Lady C, both of our reporting on this suggest anything but. Now, look, I want to ask you about Serena Williams and Venus Williams, because, you know, for a long time, Lady C, Meghan has very much been able to emphasize that these are the celebrity friendships that mattered to her. But it's quite intriguing to me that they have launched a new podcast, hasn't everyone? And rather than choosing to sit down with Meghan Markle, and you'll remember Serena was one of the first guests who appeared on Meghan Markle's Archetypes Flop podcast, but instead they have headed to England to sit down with Emma Thin, Britain's first black Marchioness. Now, this is very interesting because not only is Meghan Markle, and I've checked this, Lady C, Meghan Markle is not mentioned anywhere in this episode of the podcast, which, by the way, is called Stockton Street. And you really would think that she would be, given that much of the conversation is about the fact that she is Britain's first black Marchioness. So just before I get you to weigh in, here's a little highlight. Independent news. We have no big tech backing or billionaires pulling my strings, but that does mean I need your support. So please hit subscribe on YouTube, turn on the notification bell.
Having like you being amazing and being really kind, come to find out that you're actually a Marchioness. And so for me, that also being the first black Marchioness in England, I thought was an incredible tale with everything that, you know, we've done, the first of so many, and just understanding your experience and how you've done it with so much class and just so much aplomb.
But Queer Lips of Truth had a different take on this, Lady C, writing, did Meghan Markle send them out to go get friendly with her after the backlash Meghan got for copying her? And that was, of course, because in With Love, Meghan, she had quite clearly stolen from one of Emma Thin's previous Instagram posts about her lifestyle. But what do you think is going on here, Lady C?
Well, Dan, may I start out by being wicked and correcting you? She's not Emma Thin, she's Emma Barth.
Please.
She's Emma Marchioness of Bath.
Tell me off. I apologise, Emma.
I'm gonna
give me a whipping.
I'm gonna show you how Meg the baby keeps her men in line.
I might enjoy it too much, though.
Well, I'm sure the other ways would actually be very enjoyable as well, but we're not going to go there, Dan, because I don't want to sing Stan Getz' song "Blowing in the Wind." It's
No, I'm
just
sorry, but
not.
Emma Bath, I stand corrected.
Okay. She actually, her father-in-law was a friend of mine, and her mother is a chum of mine. And it's no surprise that Emma is a lady because she was born to be a lady. Whether it was going to be a small or a capital L, she was always going to be born to be a lady. She was brought up to be a lady. Her 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 half brother was married to Sulin Bath's, her husband's half sister, if I remember correctly. Or it can't be half sister. He doesn't have a half sister. Half aunt. And so she was always in that world. Her mother's an absolutely delightful woman, I've got to tell you. And so none of that is a surprise to me. Also, everybody who knows her well says she is lovely. She's very traditional in all the good ways, while being progressive in the good ways as well. So she's got the balance right. And also, she's actually not black. Her mother is white, her father's a Nigerian billionaire. So she's actually not white, she's mixed race. She's half black, half white. And it really annoys me, I've got to say, when people call people who are mixed race black, because I think it wipes out the white part of their heritage. And being part Jewish myself, I'm very aware of the Nuremberg laws and how race categorization can in itself become very racist. So, but Emma Bath is a devoted mother. Also, incidentally, for what it's worth, because she nearly died when she was giving birth to her first son, their second son was born by surrogate in America. And there's never been any secret about it. They've not hidden anything. She didn't go around padding, and it was far more important in that case for her to be honest. And she was naturally going to be honest. But I mean, if she had wanted her second son to be in the line of succession to the title, she would have had to have faked the pregnancy, because he is correctly a lord, but he is not in the line of succession to the Bath Marquisate, because should his elder brother die, it would skip over him, because being the product of a surrogacy, he has no right to the title, because the right to a title is determined by the moment of your birth, who gave birth to you in what circumstances. So if you, for instance, were the son of a duke, born legitimately to a duchess, and you were adopted out to somebody in a totally different country, given a totally different name, and you were in line to that dukedom, you would still become the Duke of whatever, irrespective of the fact that you had been adopted out. So these are all nuances that I don't think the general public will be aware of. But Meghan did copy, and you and I both made the point at the time that Meghan copied Emma, because Emma has a wonderful show, and Emma is very natural. Emma is natural. Meghan is totally unnatural. Emma is talented. Meghan is not talented. So, I get why the Williams sisters would have interviewed Emma, I also get why they were sensible enough to not interview Meghan. But let's see what happens, because maybe down the line they will feel obliged to interview Meghan. Although I understand that Serena is prepared to have a continuing relationship with Meghan, but Venus is not so crazy about doing so. I don't know what you've heard, but that's what I've heard.
Well, indeed. And look, it was obviously leaked to People magazine via Team Sussex. Oh, no. You know, Meghan and Harry, they met up with Serena. Don't panic. You know, we were all so worried that the friendship was over, but they were together at Soho House, of course, in New York last week, because no one actually saw them together. So we're meant to take that briefing as fact. I think Meghan will want to be on that podcast at some point, but I think the fact that they have gone for the Marchioness of Bath before Meghan, they've made a big deal about the fact that she has been this groundbreaking woman who has actually achieved her goals while remaining part of high society in the UK, something that Meghan couldn't do. Personally, I think they're making a point. I really, really do. But look, I've got to ask you about this wonderful little scoop from Tom Sykes of The Royalist today. I've absolutely loved this, Lady C. How Trump asked Camilla, this is during the state visit, Queen Camilla, what's the gossip on Meghan? Lady C, let me just take you through this because I think it's very well done by Tom Sykes. A source tells The Royalist that when Donald Trump visited King Charles and Queen Camilla for his state visit last month, he asked Queen Camilla, so what's the gossip on Meghan then? What's going on there? The exclusive revelation from the Royalist mole in the heart of the establishment will irritate the palace, which hates seeing big state events upstaged by gossipy details of private conversations, which is obviously always something that can be a little bit awkward. But we know that Trump has a long history of hatred towards Meghan Markle. He's called her terrible, said that Harry was whipped like no person I've ever seen, and publicly fantasized about their divorce. He told Piers Morgan that Meghan would end it bad and find another guy. He even suggested that Harry could be deported if he had lied about previous drug use on his visa, before then saying, I don't want to do that, I'll leave him alone, he's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible. Trump's fixation with Meghan is part of his binary worldview. Of course, you cross him, you're done. But what is also interesting is that Trump's circle has learned to harness resentment of Meghan, whose progressive word salads foregrounding of subjective reality, my truth, and as her critics see it, performative wokery, energize those on the right of the culture wars. Eric Trump called Meghan and Harry spoiled apples. May Mailman, a Harvard-educated lawyer, close ally of Trump's ideological architect, Stephen Miller, recently deployed the phrase Meghan Markle syndrome. The truth, of course, is that Trump and Meghan have more in common than either would admit. Both are hugely concerned with image. Both profess to detest the press while depending on it. And both understand the value of weaponizing the narrative of grievance. So when Trump turns to Queen Camilla and asks, so what's the gossip on Meghan, then my feeling is that he is trying to signal to the establishment that he is in their camp. Now, then it gets interesting. He writes, Camilla, I'm told, gracefully avoided replying to Trump's inquiry, but made a gesture which her husband has also been known to make, crossing her wrists as if they were handcuffed to suggest, with a wry smile, that she couldn't say anything. But do you think in private, Camilla would have been dishing the dirt just a little bit, Lady C?
No, I don't think she'd have dished the dirt to Donald Trump. But she doesn't need to dish the dirt. You know, all she needs to do is indicate her sentiments, which she did. And he's got the message loud and clear. And I'm pretty sure that she will have realized that any answer she gave was going to be broadcast worldwide. And Camilla's very canny. You know, she's been in the public eye a long time. And rather like Donald Trump and Meghan, she's had a very negative press for much of it. So she's not going to be particularly forthcoming. But also, Dan, you will know, in upper class circles, You don't even need to say something. You only need to give a look, not give a look, just go. And you have got across the message. People expect that the message is always going to be delivered engraved in parchment via smicing, but it's not. And Camilla also and Charles managed to get their point across without, shall we say, breaching the rules of protocol. But enough people know what they're up to and how they feel. And also, let's remember, Camilla has children, one of whom is also in the public eye and is a journalist. I make that point for what it's worth.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Lady Colin Campbell, thank you so much. And of course,
sparked a fresh wave of controversy. Critics now claim she accidentally contradicted her own timeline, raising even more questions online. The discussion focuses on Meghan's remarks about her pregnancy and family life, with commentators arguing that her timeline doesn't match previously reported events. They suggest these inconsistencies have fueled renewed public scrutiny. The video also examines Meghan's Washington, D.C. appearance, highlighting reactions to her speech, social media clips, and public presentation. Supporters and critics alike have continued debating how the event was received. Royal commentator Lady Colin Campbell shares her perspective, claiming Meghan's public statements often create confusion. She questions the accuracy of several claims while offering her own interpretation of recent events. The conversation then shifts to Meghan's celebrity connections, including the Williams sisters' latest podcast and speculation about changing relationships. The video also discusses reports involving Queen Camilla and former President Donald Trump. Whether these moments are genuine mistakes or simply being interpreted differently depends on your perspective. What do you think? Did Meghan's comments create more questions than answers, or is the controversy being overstated? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more royal news and analysis.